podcast is powered by monkeyknifefight.com.
Can't wait, man.
Bring in the intro thing. Oh, we got the Guru Nation on this one. Hey,
we make plays every day.
we back.
We make plays every day.
We made it.
We make plays every day.
2021.
Every day.
Get the fuck out of
Plays
here.
every day. We make plays every day. We make plays every day.
Hey. Welcome to the first edition of the Real Fantasy Playmakers for the 2021 year. Hey, we made it. Oh, it's a very, very momentous occasion. Proud to bring back our brother from another, playmaker through and through, representing the Guru Nation. It's my man, Spencer the Guru. What's happening?
Yo, Bogart, what's up, man? I'm really excited to be back with the Real Fantasy Playmakers, man. I say always a pleasure coming on your show, and I tell you what, it's a great way to kick off 2021. We made the best of 2020. It wasn't always easy, but we got through it. We got through this fantasy season and football season. We're about to cap off here with the playoffs. Hopefully my Saints win in the Super Bowl. But yeah, man, just great to be back on, man. Really enjoying it.
Oh, yeah, man. And my man Spencer the Guru, Playmakers, he kind of foreshadowed what we're about to talk about on this special edition of the first edition of the 2021 Real Fantasy Playmakers. We are going to be talking a little bit about some 2020 fantasy football, you know, some shit we hit on, some shit we missed on, you know what I mean? Maybe a little bit of what to expect in 2020 redrafts. Maybe we'll talk about some players that might be shooting up draft boards because of their 2020 performance. Maybe we'll even touch on a little bit of players that are going to drop in ADP because of their 2020 performance. And we're definitely going to break down my man Spencer the Guru's home team, you know what I'm saying, the New Orleans Saints going up against the Chicago Bears. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be one hell of a wild card weekend. And before we get to all that, we're going to go ahead and handle this quick housekeeping. Go ahead and follow me at the GMM Network on both IG and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the GMM Network on YouTube. You can find the Real Fantasy Playmakers podcast on all streaming platforms. Spotify, give me money. Also, check us out rumboys.com. That's where you're going to find all our latest and greatest articles. Shout out to all our writers. Shout out to Miles Peacock and shout out to Jay Love. You know, those are our chief editors over there, man. They making it happen. You know what I mean? Shout out to them. Shout out to the Admiral Robbie J as well. And you could also check us out on the Rumboys Fantasy Network on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe there. You know what I'm saying? We got a new podcast relaunching. It's the Admiral Robbie J and myself. It's a show called The Show About Nothing. Probably going to be a lot of mushroom eating and weed smoking on that show. We're just going to talk about some crazy shit going on in the world. So be on the lookout for that. And also, Playmakers, you heard at the beginning of this podcast, this joint is powered by monkeyknifefight.com. Go ahead, head on over to monkeyknifefight.com, download the MKF app, use promo code GMM, and we'll match your first deposit all the way up to $50. Playmakers, we in 2021. Spencer the Guru, let them know where they can find you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm really excited for this year, Bogart, because I tell you what, we've got a lot of new things in the works for 2021. We had a lot of new things launch in 2020. But 2021, I think we're going to continue to grind. You know, New Year, same hustle, but we're going to continue to grow and expand even more platforms. You know, you can find us on Instagram. That's where the Guru Nation was founded, on the IG at Spencer the Guru. Also on Twitter at Spencer the Guru, and YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube, y'all go subscribe. We'll have the Guru Nation podcast back launch this year. And I tell y'all what, we're going to have some new stuff in the works, especially this off season. Yeah, we'll have our football content, of course. You know, I mean, that's our bread and butter. But I feel like for this year, it's time that we kind of give some other sports a little look, especially, some basketball, maybe some baseball later on. Man, I got NBA in action right now. So we started a little league little fantasy hoops league with a little money on the line with Complicated Kai.
Yep,
Big shout out to him.
Kyrie. Yep, big
And,
up.
yeah, we're trying to expand in some different sports. So our main focus, of course, will still be football. So y'all don't worry. We're not transitioning away from football. Football will always be our bread and butter. But I mean, we're going to kind of dive into these other sports, see what's going on there as well. And we're going to, continue to expand and hopefully have a new and improved Spencer the Guru website for the Guru Nation. We haven't, not all the details are worked out quite yet, but we're going to get it all rolling for y'all, and we'll have it launched as soon as it's ready. So, yeah, y'all stay tuned.
Hey, man, that's, you know what, Spencer, man, that's awesome, because I remember the first time you came on my show, you had talked about the, possibly bringing back your YouTube channel. You went and did that since then, and, now you're talking about the website in the near future, and other sports content. You know what I mean? And the reason I bring that up is because so far in my history of knowing you, you're a man that does what he says, and I admire that. You know what I mean? It's a great quality to have. You know what I mean? Like the grind is impeccable. The grit don't quit, and I like to feel that birds of a feather flock together. I'm a reflection of who I surround myself with, and that's why I enjoy working with you, Spencer the Guru. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Appreciate that, Bogart. Yeah, likewise, man. I know you and the Playmakers, y'all doing a lot of big things. Had a really good day. Y'all had a great year. And the Rum Boys, huge shout out to all the Rum Boys. Robbie, Jimmo the Icon, Justin, Miles Peacock. Yeah, definitely a great community, man. Love that I'm a part of it with y'all. It's been a fun ride. And one more thing I like to touch on about next year is we had a great year in 2020 fantasy-wise, but there's always room for growth. So we're going to come up with even more ways and tricks, formulas, hacks, whatever you want to call it, ways to really just get to the next level. Even if you won your league, there's always room for improvement. Yeah. Don't get complacent. Don't think this is it. Always strive for improvement. So we're going to come up with even new ways, even better content, more deep dive, better graphics, better
we going
analysis,
deeper.
writing, all that. It's going to be an even more improved product. I feel like we made a big jump from 2019 to 2020, but I feel like the jump from 20 to 21 will be just as big, maybe even bigger.
Yep, you know what I'm saying? Astronauts, step aside. This is one small step for man, one giant leap for fantasy communities across the fantasy galaxy. Hey, well, speaking of fantasy, you know what I mean? And real quick before we get to our first topic of conversation, Playmakers, I'm gonna have all the links to all the wonderful content that my man Spencer and the Guru Nation have to offer. So be sure to click the description of this video, and it'll have all the links to get you right to the Guru Nation. All right, so check this out. Let's just off the top of my head, in the first round, right, of 12 team, let's just go with 12 team redrafts. You know what I mean? In the first round, do you have any if you can go back, I would do this instead. What? Give me some. You know what I mean? And I can give you an example if that'll help. I had Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara. I had them as the 2 and 3. So I had Dalvin Cook as the number 2, and Alvin Kamara as the 3, and I had CMC as number 1. This is how I had them projected them finishing, right? But when I got into drafts, and I've never owned Zeke Elliott ever in the history of ever until this year, because there was a couple leagues I just so happened to have that 3rd pick overall, and I would sit there and be like, okay, I have CMC and Barkley, they were gone, and I'm like, I can grab anyone I want here. As far as people, Cook or Kamara, and in both instances, I ended up going with Zeke. And if I can go back, bro, I probably take a shot on Dalvin or Kamara there. Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah, man. Yeah, they have a few. One that I touched on earlier, actually made a radio appearance with my man Greg Lorner, kind of going over that. like kind of stuff that we kind of regretted and stuff that was a surprise. But yeah, somebody I kind of regret taking high. I didn't really do it in too many leagues, but yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh, yeah.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like taking him in the first. Like I don't think I bit the bullet in a lot of leagues because like a lot of times like Josh Jacobs would be there, someone else would be there that I like. But yeah, I admit though I got a little too Clyde happy there, especially in some of my later leagues. Like I was just like, and I won him, but I was like, oh, he's gone, So it's like, yeah, that was a mistake. Clyde should not have been a first rounder. It ended up being a committee back down the stretch, especially once they signed Lev Bell.
Yeah. And, like, even when they signed him, at that moment, when they signed him in a PPR, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the number 9 running back at the time. So he was an RB1. It was just like the touchdowns weren't there. The work in the passing game that was promised to us, from Andy Reid's history with running backs, that wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like, we saw from week 1 against the Houston Texans, who were actually the number, 31 and 32 against the run through the course of the entire year. So they actually finished number 32 against the run. And, like, if you remember that, not even Clyde Edwards-Helaire week 1 could punch it in down there on the goal line because he was just a wee tyke. You know what I mean? He's a wee little man. You know what I mean? And it was just like that was kind of a precursor to like wow, he's going to have goal line troubles. And when they brought in Le'Veon Bell, it was like, okay, they brought him in to be that power back that could, pun intended, power his way in there. And all that really did was just mess it all up as far as, it just being a timeshare that got split into 3 ways this time, you know what I mean? And yeah, when I look at my 2020 experiment with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it was a lot of I'm in the back of the first round and I'm debating him or Devontae Adams. And then it's like, in hindsight, I should have just took Devontae Adams there. You know what I mean? Just take the sure thing. And I think as fantasy analysts, and I'm guilty of this, I love painting a narrative. I love I'm big on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but not big enough to get him in the 3rd or the 2nd round. Then Damian Williams, the legend, you know what I mean? He decides to opt out, and it just shoots Clyde Edwards-Helaire up people's draft boards. And, it's just, it was one of those things, man. Hindsight is 2020, and the year that they won the Super Bowl, in the 2019 season, they ran a committee with LaShawn McCoy and Darrell Williams and Damian Williams. So, now in hindsight, it's like, why would I believe that they would have won away from that if it worked in reality? You know what I mean? Because it's...
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that's what I think. If Damian Williams wouldn't have opted out, then I think Clyde, people wouldn't be as down. They'd be like, oh, well, he's delivered. It's kind of like what I paid for him, 3rd round later. But once Damian opted out, people went way too overboard and pushed him way up their boards. And now I don't think too many people that spent a first rounder on Clyde are holding that trophy right now. I mean, maybe you did if you got Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs later on, but I mean, unless you do something like that, odds are you're probably pissed that you took Clyde first.
I mean, think about this. Clyde, Clyde to me is someone that I'm gonna find myself in redraft again this year talking about. Say they don't bring back Lev Bell, right? I'm gonna be talking about I like Clyde on that 2-3 turnaround because I feel like, you know what I mean? If they don't bring back, even when Lev Bell got there, he was still the lead guy. You know what I mean? He still got his 15 carries a game. It was lackluster. And I think one thing we could learn about Andy Reid, specifically moving forward with Patrick Mahomes, is that they are going to throw the ball a significant amount more times than they're going to run the ball. You know what I mean? So, even though Clyde was lackluster in his fantasy numbers, and maybe and his target totals is because they've just were throwing the ball down the field. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, and it's not like, and they get so many leads. They're winning so many of these games that, like, it's not like they're like, okay, Clyde, time to chew up the clock. You know what I mean? They're gonna throw in Darrell Williams, or you know what I mean, like guys that are expendable to them. So it was kind of a conundrum, you know what I mean, where it's like, here's this guy, you need him to do everything early, or else he's gonna get game scripted out. And it's a positive game script. Like, the Chiefs are normally winning, and you're like, okay, this is gonna hurt him, you know what I mean, because they're not gonna use him to chew the clock out. You know what I mean? He's such a little guy. You know what I mean? Yo, did we lose this? Spencer, you there? Yellow. Hold on, we got some technical difficulties. Let's go ahead and get him back on the wire. There he is.
Yo, yeah, my bad, man. I had a little internet issue there. Everything went. I was like, I thought I was there, and then I see my internet's out. I'm like, oh, well, that may have messed it up. But yeah, we're talking about Clyde. Clyde, I mean, like, he's short but stout. Like, I mean, he's stout, but he's young, though. And, like, I don't think the Chiefs are kind of team, they don't really like to go to feature guy. I mean, Kareem Hunt was kind of like that, but, like, I don't know. It's like, I think with Clyde, it's like, especially being a rookie, like, it's just they want to be a little cautious, you know. And, you know, second year, I think he'll get more work. I think he'll improve, you know. But I definitely don't think he'll be like a first rounder. But after this year, I think, you know, a lot of people will, you know, chill out on him. And he'll be like you said, a solid value pick around the second, third round turn.
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't know when it was specifically when the connection cut off. But I was also saying the fact that, you know, maybe Clyde also was negatively affected in fantasy because this team just throws the ball a significant amount times more than they run the ball. You know what I mean? And like,
they're not a team that's gonna try to establish the run on you. They don't really worry about.
Yeah, they're just like, we're gonna shred you up.
So many teams are doing that these days. I actually interviewed a high school coach. That's my main hustle, sports writer. You know, I cover high school sports for Lafayette paper, and like the coach was telling me, like, we don't worry about controlling the clock. I was like, man, pretty much every coach usually will say they like to control the clock, but that's a trend, you know, and teams like the Chiefs have set that trend. They don't worry about controlling the clock. They just try to put up as many points as they can.
There's been a ton of games that in Patrick Mahomes, in his short career, there's a ton of games that he won the football game, but the Chiefs offense lost the battle of time of possession because you could run the ball, quote unquote, cliche, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, and then you go down, you score, and then here comes Patrick Mahomes. In 3 plays, they're down the field and they score a touchdown, and that's been in 10 seconds. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fucking amazing. And like, you know, ironically, you would love your running back to be on a team that is always leading. So you'd be like, okay, now he's going to get opportunities to chew the clock, but they don't use Clyde like that. Like, it's like, okay, we're winning. Go ahead, Darrell Williams. You know what I mean? Go ahead. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's crazy. And I think, you know, a second year in Andy Reid's offense, you know what I mean? And, you know, now you add the value that we should get from, you know, in redraft. I'm still not gonna completely jump off of Clyde. Like, if I can get Clyde, if I was to go running back heavy, like 3 running backs in a row, and Clyde was my running back 3, I'm singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, because I think he's the next year. He goes in the next year, I think, as an RB2, but still has that RB1 upside because he's got good hands. You know, he can catch. So in PPR, his touchdowns can go up. He's got RB1 potential still. But yeah, I'm not going to pay that RB1 price, though. That's for sure.
Nah, hell no. And you know, I mean, you know, you're from Louisiana, you know what I mean? And so you're very familiar with him at LSU, and like, he can run routes, man. Like, he has a full complement of skill set. So, you know, and you just got so many mouths to feed that like he actually got lost in the woodwork. You know what I mean? Like, because obviously the pecking order goes Travis Kelce and then Tyreek Hill and then everybody else. You know what I mean? So yeah, hopefully, the value's there. And you know what else was interesting is that we didn't have preseason this year. Because preseason is funny. Like, you could have a rookie who was like, we're going to get him at a value. And then you see a preseason game, he rips off a big run or he gets, a big catch to the house. And you're like, that'll shoot his ADP up. So hopefully, he doesn't get too, fancy looking in next year's preseason. And then, like, it makes the Clyde Edwards-Helaire truthers come back out and drive his ADP up. Like, certain, we're not going to say, certain analyst names, but there is some analysts out there that just really drove his ADP up. And, for someone like me who was a Clyde Edwards-Helaire truther, or is, I was one of those people that I loved hearing other people beat the drum because it was confirmation bias for me to be like, yeah, we're pushing him up to the first round. You know what I mean? I'm taking him over Nick Chubb. I'm taking him over Joe Mixon. And you know what I mean? Like, it was just, it's one of those things that it's laughable now looking back. Okay, so now, I got another question for you. Tight ends, man. Like this year, if you waited on tight end, you know what I mean? Like, I guess you could say Waller was the cutoff because Waller was still going at a value this year, right? But aside from that, like, if you didn't have Travis Kelce, you were just kind of fucked at the tight end position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much. I was thinking, you could say, tight end's bad. He should have gotten one early. Well, other than Kelce, none of the other early ones panned out. Kittle, great, but injured. Andrews didn't quite live up to expectations. Nope. And Hurts was a total bust.
So,
tight end just, Tyler Higbee, I was high on him, but he fell flat. So, other than Kelce and Waller, the tight end crop was pretty much garbage.
Yeah, man. Like, I totally whiffed on Hunter Hearst Helmsley. My bad, Hayden Hurst Helmsley. You know what I mean? Like, right. He didn't pan out. Jonnu Smith started out the gate firing strong, and like I had like 100% ownership of Jonnu in all my leagues, bro. And what's crazy about that is, soon as AJ Brown came back, he like basically disappeared. You know what I mean? Jonnu.
Right. Yeah, I ended up dropping him in leagues. I had him, but I was like, I got to move on. Like, this guy's killing me. Like, I was like, I got to move on. I looked elsewhere. Gesicki was floating around in some leagues. He had a good stretch. They had some guy, Fant came back down the stretch and did okay. He had gotten cut in some leagues.
Robert
Gronk,
Tonyan, man.
Gronk,
Gronk
he started, so those people cut him, but he actually ended up okay. He ended up better than I was thinking.
You know who surprised the shit out of me was Robert Tonyan.
Bobby Tonyan, at the Packers. Greg called him Bobby Tonyan. But he actually did really well, especially with the touchdowns. he had he was 11? Rodgers' red zone guy, so he wasn't like a flashy receiver or anything. That was all Devontae Adams. But Tonyan played his role, and what was a down year for tight ends? He actually had I think a top 5 tight end finish.
Yeah, he was he's number 1 in touchdown receptions at the position with 11. Which was amazing for a guy who just seemingly came out of nowhere, you know what I mean? And like,
right. I was thinking Jay Sternberger might be their guy, but that guy's done. He may have gotten cut by now. Because Robert Tonyan took that job and ran with it.
And you want to know what's crazy about it, Spencer? Is I'm a Niner fan, and Kyle Shanahan, his system is everywhere in the league right now, and with Matt LaFleur being a Shanahan disciple, you know what I mean? That's their version of George Kittle, but they don't use him as an X receiver. You know what I mean? Like how how the Niners use Kittle as like their possession guy, their red zone guy. They use him as everything. You know what I mean? But yeah, Robert Tonyan, man, and I'm hoping people don't drive his ADP up next year because I would love to have a Robert. Like, I just don't like paying up for tight ends. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take a tight end in the 6th round, 7th round. You know what I mean? And I'll take a few flyers later on in the draft as well. Like, because I'm always gonna remember when I hit on Zach Ertz in 2017. He was a 10th rounder. or when I hit on, in 2018 on, Austin Hooper.
Austin Hooper,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
he crapped the bed this year in Cleveland.
Oh yeah, and then
But yeah, he had that year where he was good. I think that was that last year, 18, something like that.
Both years, you know what I'm saying, and more so last year he blew up, and then also I had a ton of Mark Andrews and Darren Waller last season, and then so I knew this year I wasn't gonna have any of those guys, and I'd say instead of grabbing Hayden Hurst, I probably in hindsight should have got more Darren Waller because he finished number 3 overall in 2019. You know what I'm saying? So for him to go into 2020 and he still was like a 5th, 6th round ADP, I do not know for the life of me why I didn't jump on that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I was leery of him because like prior to 19, Waller was like a practice squad guy.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking that may have just been a flash in the pan. I don't trust.
And he was
this
the
guy,
only.
but it was not. He's the real deal.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have bid on him and not Tyler Higbee. I was thinking like. I just like the Rams offense. I was thinking I thought the Rams offense would be a lot better, but it fell flat. I mean, Goff was terrible, and Derek Carr and the Raiders were actually a little better than I was thinking. So that baller, baby. He did great.
You know what? Well, my logic with Darren Waller is I was like, okay, 2019, everybody was injured. He was the only game in town. Boom, soaked up, double-digit targets every week. And then they draft, Henry Ruggs, and then they draft, Bryan Edwards, and they're talking about how, that Nelson Aguilar is going to be a factor, and they're going to throw the ball to Josh Jacobs more. And then I was like, okay, well, Darren Waller, he's going to get lost in the mix. But really, I had it all wrong. Instead of him being the only game in town, now there's other guys on the field and he's just open. You know what I mean? It was like, it's one of those things that, man, the value was there. And now Darren Waller is probably going to be a 3rd round pick in redraft next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unfortunately, and I got to be really much value there. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, he should be a high pick because when you draft him, you're probably, you're securing your tight end spot, at least you hope. I mean, it's just, you never know what injury. I'll tell you what, a guy I'd like to shout out, I picked him up at tight ends in some leagues. He's a veteran, not a flashy option, but he actually did pretty well, was Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron
he flashed
in a few leagues.
Yeah. He definitely shit the bed for people in the fantasy playoffs. You know what I mean? But, yeah, man.
Right? Didn't he get injured?
Yeah, he got concussed. Or not concussed, but he got
hit in the side. Yeah,
he got hit
that's
hard
what
in
the
was.
Side and left the game. And I think he actually did pretty good in Week 16.
Yeah, he came back.
Fantasy championships.
Yeah, that is true. He did catch a touchdown against his former team, against the Colts.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it was Week 15 he did bad. Yeah, because I had him in the IG Experts League. He helped me out because I had Evan Ingram, he was another bust tight end.
Yeah.
I don't know if we touched on him, but yeah, he's just, we called this the tight ends episode. We going over all the tight ends.
Yeah, man. Okay,
Ebron was a league winner for a lot of people because he wasn't flashy, but he had a stable floor. He would usually always get around 10 to 15 points.
Yeah, it's crazy because when I was looking at his game log one time, it was like in PPR, he always had 9-10 points, but he was regularly finishing as a tight end too. So he was just missing the touchdowns, you know what I mean? But for a stable floor at that position, you couldn't ask for anything more, you know what I mean? Because it was a really bad position this year.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't remember.
I mean, the quarterback was a little down, but nothing compared to tight end. I mean, tight end was just 2020 really took a toll on tight ends. And,
oh, yeah.
That's a position. You got to be a tough SOB to be a tight end. And, it's a physical position. So, yeah, it makes sense that a lot of guys went down.
Okay, so I got two more topics of conversation, and we'll get into this Saints playoff matchup. It's in the mid rounds, mid rounds we count as in a 15 round draft, the mid rounds are 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, what are some values who are the true values from 6 to 10? It doesn't matter position. What, some off the top of your head. that are definitely like they're going to go higher next year, like significantly.
Yeah, you know what comes to mind? I mean, he didn't always slip to the 6th and 12th man. You know, sometimes he'd get taken like in the 5th or the 4th. A lot of times he would slip pretty far, and that's Stephon Diggs, man. Stephon Diggs was such a value this
Hands
year.
down.
Like, he was somebody that, like, a lot of people thought, like, would be okay in Buffalo, but not many people thought he would be anything special.
The league leader.
He was an elite WR1. Like,
Yeah.
this guy killed it.
Right? Like, and like, it was, it's just amazing to see, how about this? I'll match you with the Josh Allen being that value at the QB position. Like,
Yes.
just him going in those mid rounds, like, and man, if you're able to stack Diggs with Josh Allen like that, you were killing shit every week. And like, another receiver that comes to mind is Keenan Allen. You know what I mean? Like, and what Keenan Allen and Stephon Diggs had in common going into this year was the fact that we didn't know what their quarterback chemistry was going to be with these guys. You know what I mean? Like, you had Tyrod Taylor / Justin Herbert, and then you had Josh Allen, who was historically inaccurate. You know what I mean? Historically, not too many pass attempts, never passed for over 300 yards in his career. And then week 1, he throws for 400 yards. And then week 2, he does it again. And then, like, it was just all of a sudden he was, a top 3 QB as far as accuracy. And like, it was just such a massive leap. And like, I mean, I guess, you get a phenomenal receiver like Stephon Diggs, who I always referred to as like the poor man's Antonio Brown. You know what I mean? Because he runs routes like Antonio Brown to me. You know what I mean? Like, young Antonio, you know what I mean? Like,
he can run routes crisply, take the top off the defense.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He does it all. He's a complete receiver, and that just goes to show you how I can see why he was unhappy in Minnesota. Minnesota was hurting his upside. I mean, he had a career year in Buffalo. I mean, now that he has like a really good quarterback and stuff, people are like, Diggs, he's a locker room cancer, he's causing problems. It's like, I mean, he never actually missed games. I think he was just kind of a little fed up with what was going on in Minnesota, and now I see why. Now that he's in the right situation, he's showing that he's an elite receiver.
And it's got to feel good for a receiver, because most star receivers, they're divas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll call a spade a spade. You know what I mean? Like, you're a bad motherfucker and you want to be appreciated, for it. You know what I mean? And like, when a team isn't showing you love like Minnesota, and then Buffalo, they go and give up a lot of assets to bring him over. They trade for him.
Yeah, gave up a first rounder. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, so now here comes Stephon Diggs to a new scenery, and he's surrounded by an organization that was like, we wanted you. You know what I mean? That's got to feel good for someone like that. Knowing that, okay, now I'm going to get my chance to shine. I'm going to be featured. And, before that, Buffalo Bills, they were technically a run first team. They are like another version of the Chiefs, where they really don't run the ball too much. You know what I mean? They're just throwing the rock all over the field. He's definitely going to be like a second round pick next year, when it comes to Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, he'll be somebody to keep an eye on at the first, second round turn. Like, he's somebody that's going to be like right in that mix. I feel like him and Michael Thomas. I was actually looking ahead to 2021. It's like, who do you draft next year? If you have let's say Adams and Tyreek Hill are gone, who's the WR3 for next year? I mean, it's either Thomas or Diggs. I'm not sure yet.
Well, you know what? I could even argue that, Nuke Skywalker, DeAndre Hopkins, that he could be in that mix. Because,
Yeah, I have him 5th as of now.
Yeah, because we just don't, like, I'm not sure. Maybe with the small sample size that we saw with Taysom Hill, like, let's assume it's Hill next year, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking it will be. As a Saints fan, it's looking like all the talk is, and I believe it, that Drew Brees is on his way out after this season. But no matter what happens with the playoffs, so assuming Brees is out, I'm thinking it's Hill, because even with Brees retiring, it's gonna be some dead money on the books. Like the Saints, I'll just be real. I hope we win the Super Bowl, because we might be in cap hell next year, depending on where they set the cap at. And as a result, I don't think we'll be able to afford to sign like a Dak Prescott or any free agent. I think we're gonna roll with Taysom.
Yeah, And you guys already gave him a team friendly bag, you know what I mean? So, you know, that could be incentive for him to play harder under this contract to maybe perhaps get a bigger extension, because it was what, a 2-year extension for him they gave last year?
Right. Yeah, I think it's be a contract year. So like, if he starts off good, that Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton might come to him and be like, look, man, we'll hand him like a 3-4 year extension. Like, you're our guy for the foreseeable future. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, he had a good rapport with Michael Thomas.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say,
together.
with the small sample size that we did see, you know, at least that we you know, as a fantasy enthusiasts, we were like, okay, cool. He peppered him. Because that's all we want. Just, you know, throw it at our man. You know what I mean? Like, just, he's the number one guy. Throw it at him a bunch of times. You know what I mean? Like, because that's all we really want. Because Michael Thomas, to me, also is a volume guy. He requires the volume. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's a bunch of yak. Put it in his hands. He'll do the rest. You know what I mean? Like, and that's probably why his touchdown numbers have always kind of been, you know, hearsay. You know what I mean? Because he's more of a reception guy. Like, you know, PPR machine. And I hope that keeps up, because I feel like if they move forward with Taysom Hill, there's going to be weeks where Kamara, you know, misses out on some targets, and then because it'll be Michael Thomas, and then the next week it might be more Kamara getting targets, and then Michael Thomas takes a back seat, because they're in the same range, you know, they're in that shorter range, and then, or maybe, you know, Taysom Hill, he's gonna be a guy that'll just be like, you know what, we're going down the field, you know what I mean? Maybe, you know, because maybe you could argue that Drew Brees' arm over the past couple years wasn't built to stretch the field as much in his younger days. So, you know, Sean Payton, being a smart coach, was like, hey, let's play your strength. And your strength is in these slants and in, you know, and out the backfield, and, you know, just the shorter routes over the middle, shit like that. You know what I mean? And, you know, obviously Thomas and Kamara, they benefited from that. But I am going to be quiet about Michael Thomas in the offseason, because I want his ADP to fall as far as possible. You know what I mean? Give me cheap Michael Thomas.
Yeah, we can scoop him as a value. Yeah, because if he's healthy next year, he could easily return first round value.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, bro. And like, okay, so, we mid-round running backs, I guess you could say, you know, a lot of them ended up getting hurt. Maybe Rojo is that guy. Rojo's probably the best running back value, because he was going 7th, 8th round. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rojo. I'll tell you what, as far as mid-round, that had a really good stretch run was J.K. Dobbins. For those that stuck out with J.K.
To finish
Dobbins,
the year?
Him and, he had a good stretch. And also our guy DeAndre Swift. I remember we were both on Swift. He got off to kind of a slow start, but yeah, I'll tell you what, a lot of those rookies, and I think it had a lot to do with this crazy offseason. You know, even Cam Akers had a pretty good stretch run. Like, I mean, a lot of the rookies, it took them a while to get going. Like Jonathan Taylor, another one. Like, they started off a little slow, but once they got acclimated, like, they were rolling.
Okay, so you want to know who is the king value, the king value in drafts, like Mr. Irrelevant, and for other cases, he was also the best waiver wire acquisition of 2020. You want to take a shot at it?
Oh, yeah, I think I know where you're going with this, man. There's two guys. Two more rookies I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
One are you going with this? James Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
James Robinson.
He was the man, bro.
Undrafted free agent. Like, it's awesome how good he did, man. For the worst team, too.
Right? Like,
incredible.
And, you know, I was a Minshew truther, and then it came to a point where I was like, my whole thing with Minshew was because they were going to be playing from behind a lot. You know what I mean? Like, and that was all true. Like, yeah, their defense was bad. You know, but even playing from behind, they were just like, we're gonna keep running this thing. So, like, you know, James Robinson, he became game script proof every week, week in and week out. It didn't matter. He was gonna get his 18 touches. You know what I mean? Like, fucking phenomenal, man. And they actively tried to get him this rookie record for like most yards rushing for a rookie undrafted free agent, and like I think he fell short, but he was almost there, man. He definitely went over 1,000. You know, he had a ton of receptions. Like, it's gonna be interesting because I think he's the guy, being on the Jacksonville Jaguars, that it don't matter how phenomenal he did, that team has such a bad reputation that he's going to be a value still next year.
Yeah, I think so. And especially if they get Trevor Lawrence, like I think that's gonna be
Fuck it,
really
even
good.
if they
Like,
get
that's gonna
Justin
be,
Fields.
like Lawrence, he's a once in a generation talent. So if they can get him any sort of help, get him an O-line help receiver. He's got his running back. He's got James Robinson. They don't have to worry about running back. Address the O-line and receivers. You're good with J-Rob.
Yeah, I agree, man. Okay, so you said you had one more. You said you had.
That's Antonio Gibson.
Oh,
Antonio
yeah.
Gibson, the Washington football team, man.
Man.
He came in and he kicked ass, man.
He really did.
He was like a Swiss Army knife out there, and especially near the goal line, he had double-digit touchdowns in what was a not very sexy offense. But he did it. He did his shit, man. He was rolling with it, and he caught some passes. Like J.D. McKissick being there, kind of capped his PPR upside. But he scored enough and caught enough to be a borderline RB1 a lot of weeks. He was really good, and he's got room for growth. He's not like the biggest guy. He's going to keep going. He's got a great skill set for today's NFL, and I think he could end up being a good value in drafts.
And a lot of people went crazy and compared his skill set. And let me underline that word, skill set. They compared his skill set to CMC, and it was no coincidence that the regime that used to be in Carolina is over there in Washington with Ron Rivera and Scott Turner at the OC position, and they went and drafted Antonio Gibson. So next year, man, like I'm actually kind of glad he fizzled out the way he did, because of injury. That way,
yeah, him and James Robinson both kind of fizzled out. Where if they'd had hot stretch runs, people would be hyped. Like Jonathan Taylor had this amazing stretch run. Now, I'm already hearing like Adam Rank's big board came out. He has him above Kamara and Cook. I'm like,
see, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm glad Antonio Gibson finished the way he did, because let him be a fifth rounder somehow. Because I think the hype is going to be so high, he's going to go into the third round, and I think back in RB2, drafting him as an RB2, that's where I want him, you know what I mean? Because I think he has...
Yes, for sure. Yeah, he could end up being like a better value than Clyde, just because Clyde will probably, being in the Chiefs offense, will probably get, like we talked about, a lot of hype, but Gibson being low-key on the Washington team, whatever they end up calling it, it'll probably still be low-key, because they probably won't have a great quarterback situation. Yeah, Gibson's got potential to be an amazing value.
I think, bold prediction, I think Washington, they continue going journeyman quarterback. So,
yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, too.
So Matt Stafford.
Rumors say Cam Newton might end up back with
I don't want that. But you know what, though? I'm not mad at that, because Cam Newton, he made CMC relevant because Cam Newton learned that he could just check the ball down to a running back when they drafted him CMC. So I'm not mad at that, actually. But, man, if you get a Matt Stafford over there or
ooh, that would be nice.
Right? Or maybe even a Ryan Fitzpatrick, you know what I mean?
Fitzmagic. Yeah, Fitzmagic. Yeah, speaking of Fitzmagic, what would be a good spot for Fitzmagic? I'm thinking
where?
The Cincinnati Bengals, because odds are Joe Burrow is going to start the year on the PUP list, considering how gruesome his knee injury was. I'd say play Fitzmagic the first 6 weeks, gotta stay about 500, and then you get your man Joey Burrow back, and then you got potential to make the playoffs.
So, what's crazy is that he went from Tampa Bay to Florida, to Miami, and I'm thinking it was a Florida thing. Like, okay.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe he'll want to stay close to there.
Yeah, because he'd have moved around.
Maybe he'll go to Jacksonville.
I was gonna say maybe he's he's that OG, that bridge QB, because maybe you don't want to necessarily just thrust Trevor Lawrence in there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of the Florida ties. Yeah, that could work. So you can kind of ease Trevor in, if he has a rocky training camp or something.
And you can fuck around and win some of these games, bro.
Yeah, that's it. I think It's gonna be really interesting to see how this pans out. We were already talking about it in January.
Hey man, it's 2021.
Yeah, I'm interested, man. I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
I know, right?
I'm
Like
excited for this year.
it's gonna be a long off season, but if you really think about
Right.
it, we're in January, and this shit is, once we get 5 months from now, bro, which is not a long time, that's gonna be in like full on, mock draft season. Like we're gonna be, that's June. That's the halfway point of the year. And we're not far away from there. So there's going to be a lot of things to carry us there. The combine, if they have that, and then the draft, obviously, which will probably be like through Zoom again. And, there's going to be a lot of things for us, and then hopefully we get OTAs this year, and maybe we see some normality. But one more I got for you. Justin fucking Jefferson, bro.
Ooh, man, Jets Jefferson.
Wow,
baby.
bro.
Yes,
Like,
he is great, man. That's one I nailed. I had him in a couple of
you
leagues.
did.
That was so
I
great.
remember you being on him over the Brandon Ayuks and over the Chase Claypools. I remember because a lot of people they go crazy over rookie receivers. And like it's really like you don't draft those guys early. You wait on those guys. You know what I mean? And like
I was saying, don't reach for CeeDee Lamb, don't reach for Henry Ruggs, don't reach for Judy. Take Justin Jefferson a couple rounds later, and he was the best one.
He was the best one.
I was like, with Diggs going, I think Justin Jefferson will end up the best rookie receiver, and he did, by in a big way. He was a Pro Bowler. I mean, did he actually make the Pro Bowl? If he didn't, he should have. I mean, guy is a stud.
He's a top 5 in the league, not just in number 1 out of the rookies, top 5 just in the league in general. Like, he put up massive numbers, man, and like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is two part. Like, I hope he doesn't get too high in ADP. You know what I mean? Because there is going to be people, especially people that had him and maybe perhaps won a championship with him. Those are the guys that they're going to return to the well. They'll be like, oh, here he's in the 3rd round. I'm going to grab him there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hoping he'll fall and then the second part of that is that Adam Thielen is probably going to be an incredible value next year because people are going to be so enamored with what Justin Jefferson did that Adam Thielen will probably be a mid-round value. You know what I mean? Like 6th, 7th round for real, though.
Right. That kind of reminds me of Atlanta. Like next year, Calvin Ridley. Ridley, he outdid Julio this year. He
sure
outdid
did
him, and I think he'll continue to outdo him. But for next year's drafts, I feel like Julio will probably end up being the better value because everyone's going to be going goo goo gaga over Ridley because he just had a career year. And rightfully so. I mean, he's a stud, but Julio's still got it. Like, Julio, I think, still has another nice season or two left in the tank. So, I mean, Julio could end up being a steal.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy because by the time I got to my my season rankings before the year started, I had tinkered Coolio. I call him Coolio. You got Julio and Coolio, but I call Coolio Ridley, man. I had tinkered him all the way up to 6th overall. And, like, at the end of the day, the point I'm trying to make is that I ended up moving him up higher than Julio. It didn't matter where I had Julio or Ridley, but just the fact that, like, people were, like, tripping, like, wow, you really got Ridley up higher. I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to show out. And we've seen a lot of games without Julio Jones because he was hurt a lot of this year. So, that's promising for the future because you never know. Julio might not be there next year. You know what I mean? You just never know. And, like, I think what they saw with Calvin Ridley is that he could be a number 1. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, just like, kind of did Jefferson, like, actually outdid Thielen a lot of week. Thielen got the touchdowns. So, their fantasy points were similar, but production-wise, Jefferson was, I'd say, the better receiver, no doubt. And I think he's got room for growth. I mean, I'm not hating on Thielen. Thielen's somebody that actually exceeded my expectations. I was thinking Thielen would be a total bust this year. Like, I was really down on the Minnesota passing game, but it delivered. Kirk Cousins did better than I was thinking he would. So,
and their defense was really bad this year, so they were in more. Right. They were in more passing situations than we would expect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was surprised at how bad their defense
was. They were really bad.
Ass, man, I couldn't believe that. They normally have a great defense.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're a defensive-minded head coach over there. And it's funny because, if you think about it, defensive-minded head coach, but they had a bad defense in Minnesota.
Really bad, yeah. I mean, my
right?
Saints put up like 60 on him. Like Kamara, it's like they couldn't. He would just walk into the end zone, like
right,
even
like
a fair fight.
6 times. and you know what? I will say, maybe the cool Christmas shoes did it. You know what I mean? But hey, man, like, and Alvin Kamara, I remember texting you during that game because I had I had money riding on that game, and like, it was funny, like, just to see Alvin Kamara, just literally score his way into being like a top 2 pick next year. Like, there's gonna be people who will argue he's number 1 overall. There are people that'll be like it's Cook and then Kamara, and there's people that'll have Henry in that mix too. So it's gonna be an interesting year to see, because I will still have CMC as a top 3 guy no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about to say, as of now, actually, it's probably an unpopular take because he burned so many people. But I still think CMC's the 101 next year.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue.
Because on a per game average, he was still this year's number 1 running back. I know he only played like 4 or 5 games, but still, he was elite in those games. He
sure
was by
was
far the best player in fantasy.
30 burgers.
So with a normal offseason, I think he'll be just fine. I think if I get first next year, as of now, I don't know. I love Kamara, so maybe the Saints will do something to make it to where I'll take Kamara. But as of now, I think I'd take CMC first.
Yeah, couldn't argue it. Okay, well, speaking of Kamara and the Saints, let's go ahead and, I just want to, what's your overall feel on this game? You got the Chicago Bears, who were essentially one of the hotter teams to begin the year. 5-1, but they didn't look like a 5-1 team because when they switched over to Nick Foles, it was just this vanilla offense. And then, you started hearing, they went 5-1, then they lost 5 straight. And then they were like, okay, enough of this. We're going to put in Mitchell Trubisky. And then all of a sudden, maybe David Montgomery was like, listen, motherfuckers, I can run. Because then all of a sudden, they were giving David Montgomery a heavy workload. Mitchell Trubisky was getting out of the pocket and making plays. And they ripped off, enough W's to get themselves into the playoffs. And they do have air quotes, championship caliber defense. And I put that in air quotes because I feel like Chuck Pagano is a really bad D coordinator. I don't think come on, Khalil Mack had, a fairly quiet year compared to his past years. And I feel like that's a lot of the play calling on defense. You know what I mean? But that's just kind of my summary of the Chicago Bears. Obviously, you're a Saints fan. You know how it went down for the Saints all year. You guys are one of the best teams, but it really wasn't pretty. You know what I mean? And the defense, they compensated for a lot. So what's your take here? Because I feel like your defense will eat Trubisky up, but do you feel like New Orleans is at all maybe they shouldn't? Do you feel like they're sleeping at all right now? Sleeping on the Bears?
You mean that people are sleeping on the Bears?
Yeah, being a Saints fan,
too much because I feel like this. I feel like the Saints. We were playing well enough on defense, and with Kamara back, hopefully I think we'll win by double digits as long as we don't beat ourselves. With the always this chance of turnovers, and luckily this year, we've been on the right side of the turnover battle. Because we really haven't, like you said, haven't been super impressive for a typical Sean Payton team. Normally, a Sean Payton team real flashy, winning big and making it look easy. But this year, this Saints team has been completely different. It's been more low-scoring, gritty, physical type game. So that's why I'm thinking, it's going to come down to who's better in the trenches, who takes care of the football, and I think we're better in the trenches in Chicago for sure. Chicago, like I said, their defense isn't that good, and Trubisky, man. The last time we faced the Bears, they had Nick Foles.
Yeah, and it was a windy game.
Win you the game, but he's also not going to lose it for you. Where Trubisky, I feel like
he could lose. He could lose you the game.
Throw for more yards sometimes and kind of keep you in it, but he could also lose it for you. Like I think we can. He's somebody we could rattle, and I think we can rattle him, force some turnovers. We'll win pretty handily. I'm not tripping. Some people are like, oh man, gonna end up another one and done. Oh, I'm like, man, I'm quit being so negative. We'll be straight.
I think Drew Brees.
I'm not too worried, man. I mean, I know the Bears. I'm not disrespecting them, but they're not an opponent that's got me like shaking in my boots.
Yeah, and the difference from the last time, like you said, it was Nick Foles, right? It was in Soldiers Field, where it was
different. Yeah, we'll be in the dome.
It was a windy day in the windy city. You know what I mean? Now you're going to be in a controlled environment. Obviously, you won't have the screaming fans that have that place rocking because we all know that dome is rocking, you know what I mean? When you got the noise going crazy. And I feel like Drew Brees, this is where, before the game, maybe not before the game, maybe this week during practice, I could see him like, all right, guys, huddle up. This is my last ride. You know what I mean? I could because, it's not definitive. He did sign the contract to, for ESPN, but that's easy. You could easily get out of that contract. So, nothing is quite set in stone, but I feel like he could really rejuvenate this team and put a fire under their ass by saying like, hey guys, this is my last hurrah. You know what I mean? This is my last ride. Let's go get it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I think it was the contract was with NBC, and I'm pretty
it's
sure
NBC.
They told him,
like,
you can retire whenever. I don't think he had to come like retire after this year. Like I think the contract basically says he can retire whenever he wants. But yeah, I agree that this will likely be his last ride. So yeah, they're gonna have to leave it all out on the field, and I believe they will. Man, I'm confident. It's not like I said, it's not a typical Sean Payton team, but I feel like they've rebuilt it to where like the strength is in the trenches and running in the D line, and yeah, I feel like with Drew, I don't think Drew's gonna like be as good as he used to be, but I also don't think he's gonna lose the game for us, and he's not gonna be a liability. He's still an above average quarterback.
I can agree, man, and I think the benefit of playing them earlier in the year is big for Drew Brees because Drew Brees is a cerebral a type of QB where like he's gonna remember all the looks that you showed him last time. He's gonna remember all, what I mean, like what worked, what didn't work. You know what I mean? So, and the way the Chicago offense operates, the New Orleans defense is built to stop that. You know what I mean? Like they are a run first team, and you guys are, the number 1 or 2 run defense overall right now. So, I think it's gonna be a long day for the Bears, man. And I know a lot of Bears fans, man, and a lot of them they're happy they're in, but they're also happy that they're not out because, if they, this could be enough to bring back that coaching regime and bring back, Trubisky. And I think most of the Bears nation will say that they don't want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they probably were kind of wishing they didn't make it. So
for real though,
if they have been more willing to cut bait with Nagy and Trubisky.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Well, shit, man, I'm definitely. I don't know the line on the game. I don't know the spread, but I think that I think it will be a closer game. Like I think the Bears could cover whatever the spread is, but I still think the Saints outright win this thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, I hope the Saints can just cover it. I hope it just be like I said, a double-digit win. But I don't know, man. Yeah, in these playoff environments, you never know. And I'm not saying Drew Brees. I mean, Drew Brees isn't a choke artist. I mean,
no,
a lot of it's due to
it's due to the
defenses had a lot of chokes down there. But like he also.
It's,
I don't know,
let's be honest.
Seems like he's kind of like the bridesmaid. So hopefully this year will be the year he can finally just take control and be like, I'm that guy. Like, and be like, this is my time. Like, he needs to, really step it up. Because, like I said, it's going to be mainly defense and running. But there will be times where Drew needs to step up, and he's going to have to do it, or else he's going to be the bridesmaid again. But as a diehard Saints fan, I really hope he's up for the challenge because this is probably it for him.
and I can remember the first time I brought you on my show. I asked you, like, being from Louisiana, where like, back in the days, there was a lot of people that would practice voodoo. And I was like, do you think, someone out there may have voodoo cursed the Saints organization because of all the crazy conspiracy calls, or, you know what I mean? Just the bad, the Minnesota Miracle, or like, the like I said, the NFC Championship and the no call. You know what I mean? Like, there's just
so much heartbreak, man.
Yeah,
last year one and done. It's like, come on, like it's just it's been one thing after another, man. It's just, I tell you what, this is the year we got to break the curse, because
Let's go.
I'm not that superstitious. Like I don't really worry about that kind of stuff.
I am.
Just gotta,
That's the thing.
Spot the ball and go win the game. Leave all that other shit out of there. Like we gonna be fine, man. Who that nation, man? We got our ring, because a lot of people are like, oh, the Saints are gonna never win a Super Bowl. They're gonna never win it. And then
hold on, we got one.
It's been over 10 years now, but it's our time now, man. It's our time. We've been through our shit. We're ready to win it this year.
Yeah, man, and you know what, man? I'm definitely rooting for y'all. You know what I mean? Probably gonna put some money on it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, when we get closer. But aside from that, man, this is it was definitely a crazy year. I'm excited for what 2021 has to offer for you and I. You know what I mean? And the rest of our fantasy community. You know what I'm saying? And just, what's awesome is the people that I've been growing to know more so and get closer to, like yourself or Clock or the rest of the Rum Boys or even Kai. Like, what's cool about it is that, like, it's surpassed our fantasy community. Like, we are community, you know what I mean, in the sense of a word. So, you know what I mean, the Guru Nation always got the GMM Network support. You know what I mean? Thank you again, Spencer. You know what I mean? This is it's dope, man. What a way to start off the GMM Network's first episode of the year, bringing in Guru Nation. You know what I mean? Always all love. And yeah, man, before we sign off, go ahead and let the people know one more time. Let the Playmakers know where they can find you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it once again, Bogart. Great time, great show. Y'all can go find me at Spencer the Guru on all platforms. We are ready to blow up in 2021. Had a nice 2020 despite the obstacles, but we're really gonna blow up in 2021, man. Just thanks again. It was a great show, and kind of got my ideas flowing, got the brain in the works. We're gonna blow up this year, man. I am excited.
Oh yeah, man. And you know what, too, man, is the ideas. Playmakers, ideas are gold. Let's just say that. And and just like gold, you gotta dig those things out and you gotta mine it. You know what I mean? So once you got the idea and you dig that thing up, you know what I'm saying, you turn that idea into a plan, and then you enter the execution stage and you execute the plan. And I think what we got going right here, Guru. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? We're well off into the planning stage, and we're gonna get to executing. And you know what I'm saying? And like they say, on the field, we just gotta do our job, and and just don't blow the assignment. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, most definitely, man. Most definitely. Yeah, keep grinding, stay consistent. Yeah, we're gonna get there, man. We're gonna blow up, and just really excited to got to know you and Clock and Plug, Kai, shout out to all our people, man. We're gonna keep growing and grinding, and man, it's like, I think one day we're gonna be like the people that the majority is gonna turn to. We're not there yet. We're just getting started. They all stay tuned. Don't sleep on us.
Yeah, don't sleep on us. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I sleep when I'm dead. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Spencer the Guru.
Y'all better wake up, because we on the rise, baby.
And we gonna wake them up. You know what I mean? Shout out to the Guru Nation. Shout out to the Who Dat Nation. Shout out to all the Playmakers around the world. Hey, y'all know what to do. Hit that notification, spike the like, drop a comment, and be sure to follow my man Spencer the Guru on all social media platforms. Be sure to subscribe to Spencer the Guru on YouTube, and be on the lookout for the website and everything else in 2021. The sky's the limit. Hey, thanks again, Guru.
Yes, sir. No problem, Bogart. Appreciate you, man. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, brother.